Hello, bonjour, namaste. Welcome to the Canada and India show, where we meet the people that make up the vibrant Canada-India relationship. Every week, we interview leaders in their fields to dive into who they are and what drives them. From the arts, to trade, to human rights, we will discover together how rich and diverse this relationship really is.
Hi, I'm Annie Dubé, Canada's Consul General in Mumbai, India, and you're listening to the Canada and India show. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Dr. Anish Shah, Group President Strategy for the Mahindra Group. Mahindra is a $20 billion multinational group with a presence in more than 100 countries and employing over 240,000 people around the world. Their operations span several key industries from car making to agri-food business to technologies. Dr. Shah joined the Mahindra Group in 2014. His primary focus areas are strategy development and implementation, building capabilities such as digitization, IoT, and analytics, enabling synergies across group companies, and driving international growth. Let's get started. Okay, today we have Dr. Anish Shah, and I'm very excited. You're the group president of Mahindra on the strategy side, and Mahindra has such a great presence in Canada. I am very much looking forward to having this discussion with you. So, Dr. Shah, you've been to Canada recently, or at least last summer. You've been to Canada a few times, and you have some knowledge of North America for studying there. What is your best memory of Canada so far?
My best memory of Canada actually goes back many years when I was in college and we'd done this road trip that went from Maine to Quebec and then from Quebec all the way down to Niagara Falls. And the best memory was actually of Quebec and a waterfall an hour away from Quebec, Saint Anne de Beaupré. It was such a nice feeling. And while that was many years ago, that one still stands out as a great memory.
So Canada has been in your heart for a while now.
It has. And I lived in the US for 16 years, so had numerous chances to go across to Canada and have been to many places there.
Now that you're part of the Mahindra Group, you've been with them since 2014, I believe?
That's correct.
And you are heading the strategy division.
Mm-hmm.
I see you as the integrator and the innovator for Mahindra. You want to expand a bit on your role with the Mahindra Group and where you see Mahindra going?
Absolutely. So strategy has evolved in a big way over the last few years more so. And we look at strategy as a function that really helps transform our businesses and make them future ready. So it involves core strategic thinking, of course, but a lot more of digital data sciences, looking at synergies between our businesses, looking at international growth, and how do we harness the best of what's happening in the world to make our businesses ready for the future and to help them create a better customer experience? That's really the focus of what we do here.
Mahindra has a presence in more than 100 countries. Mm-hmm. And so the customer experience must be very diverse from one place to another. How do you integrate all of that? I know you have people all around the world, but there's a need for coherence somehow.
There is, and that starts with our RISE credo. And our RISE credo is really what brings everyone together. And that also is more around our values. So we want to do things for the community. We want to enable people to rise. And in many ways, that's who we are and what we stand for.
Mahindra is a proud Indian company, and you have invested all around the world. I recall you were on the panel at the Canada-India Business Council annual meeting last November 2018, and you were basically talking about the advantages of investing in Canada. You want to expand a bit about where you see the advantages?
Yes, absolutely. So one is, in our interaction with Canada, we have been very impressed with the technology that we've seen across multiple companies in Canada. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, even more important for us is the people. And in terms of working with Canada and its people, we found it to be a very open environment, a very easy and transparent process, and that is really critical for us. So the combination of both of those things have made Canada one of our premier destinations and one of our focus countries. So we've outlined 8 focus countries right now around the world, and Canada is one of them.
Oh, excellent.
We have committed to a significant amount for investments in Canada already through Tech Mahindra, Tech Mahindra business is also working with a number of Canadian companies. Our farm business has invested in an AI startup in Canada, and we are looking at a number of other ventures there.
You are also responsible for leadership development in your role. And so you're mentioning we need people to rise. How do you develop leadership in an organization of that size? It's 240,000 people or something?
Yes. Now, a lot of what we do here at the Group Strategy Office is to try and attract the best talent and bring them into the company. And then we will partner with our HR team as well as our businesses to develop programs for all our leaders across the organization. And our focus is more on the skills that they need to develop. So we focus a lot more on what are the digital skills, how do we create optionality. In today's world, things are changing rapidly, and it's difficult to make a decision to invest in one area with a high level of uncertainty. So those are the types of skills that we look at in terms of training folks.
One thing that people may or may not know is Mahindra has started in the steel industry, but you've expanded a lot since then. You want to touch on Mahindra's growth since its early starts and where next?
Absolutely. So Mahindra started way back in 1945, is when sort of the initial seeds were sown. And we've really grown with India. As India grew over the early years a bit slowly, we grew with India. And then as it got liberalized in the 90s, we grew much faster and started branching out in a number of other areas. And in many ways, we feel that India today offers a great opportunity, and that our values and the trust that we build with customers offers us the ability to be in multiple industries. And that's what we're taking advantage of.
So you touch on something that is quite important. India's economic growth from the mid 40s to the mid 90s or so, when there was more liberalization. Right now, India is a country where people often refer to as so much potential. The economic growth that India has had in the last few decades, do you think it's going to be enough to bring it to the next level? What needs to be done from India's perspective to bring the economy forward?
The key is to create more jobs. And India is very well positioned today. From a demographic standpoint, we continue to hear about the demographic dividend that we have. At the same time, a number of steps have been taken to create the foundation for a very strong business and for upliftment of society. So with all of that, I would look at the next 15 or 20 years as a golden era in India. And for us, it's about being able to continue to skill our people and continue to create jobs for people as the most important thing for us.
We mentioned that when I walked into your office, the unicorn art pieces behind your desk. You want to tell us a bit about what it reminds you every day when you come to office, the drive that it gives? Because having a unicorn on the wall, I think it's very significant for any company. But when you're head of a strategy, what does it bring to you?
So first is this is serendipity. So when I came into my role and moved into the office here, the first thing I wanted to do was get rid of all the cabinets. So he said there should be no cabinets, no paper.
No paper. Excellent.
Right? And just as that was getting completed, in fact, on the final day, I happened to go for the first time to an art gallery. And I just walked in and saw this unicorn right there. And I said, that's it. That's the one that's required for the office. It really is more of a reminder of what we'd like to be as well. Create businesses that can be unicorns. And as I said, it was serendipity. So it just was just time to be here.
You touched on something, no papers. How do you make sure that Mahindra moves to this digital world where everything can be accessed online and just in time? How do you bring them there?
So first, Mahindra is a federation of companies. We have a number of large publicly listed entities as part of our group. So from a governance standpoint, we cannot tell them what to do. Brand and values are constant. So if a company uses a Mahindra brand, they're signing up for a certain set of values that they will live by. Beyond that, each company is free to do what it wants. So the challenge for us then is to create a need, to be able to convince companies that here are things that are going to help you transform yourself and serve customers better. Or in some cases, companies are there already, and we have to be able to help them do that by getting the right resources. So it's been a fairly easy journey from that perspective because many of our leaders operate as entrepreneurs. And as part of that, they're eager to try out new things. And therefore, that makes my job very easy to be able to work with them and say, here are different things that we can come and help you with. Their litmus test always is, are you adding value? Which is a perfect question. And we've got to ensure that we've got the right talent that adds value for the group. And that's made it much easier. And our businesses also realize that there is tremendous change that's happening across each industry. And in many cases, if we don't adapt to that change, we will not survive. But it's not just about adapting, it's about taking the lead. How can we harness the latest technologies and take the lead in every industry that we're in?
You mentioned something about values. Can you expand on Mahindra's values?
Yeah, so the first element is integrity. Mm-hmm. Second is, in terms of everything we do, right, are we thinking about our customers, our employees, and enabling them to rise? I come back to our RISE credo. The dignity of the individual in terms of how we deal with everyone around us. So these are some of the values, and there are a number of others that are intangibles as well, but it's who we stand for.
You mentioned something about talent when you were talking about Canada, and I think that India is in such a great position, given its demographic, to support any growth of any company. How do you identify the right talent here in India?
For us, it's even a bigger haystack and a smaller needle in some cases, because the talent has to fit the culture as well. In fact, that's the first test. Mm-hmm. Does the candidate fit the culture of the company? I've always felt that values come above performance. So from that perspective, it gets tougher. But in terms of how we find that, I think the one thing is that it's much easier when you stand for something that's very strong and powerful. The ability to attract others is very high. The Mahindra brand evokes trust. So what we've seen is it's not been difficult to attract that talent because a lot of people want to work with Mahindra. And as I see other folks here and see how they work and the fun they have at work at times, it makes it easier. What I've seen over the last 4 years, specifically in digital and data sciences here, I give a lot of credit to the media and Economic Times in particular. They've acted as a great search firm for us because every few months they had a new article on this is what Mahindra is doing in digital. And I had a flood of emails and LinkedIn requests saying, can we apply? Right? Including a senior person from Google who came in that way. So sometimes it's just what you do that attracts people.
So building the brand is really the focus of the office you had here, making sure that it's aligned with the values and the culture of the company. You have been here for 4 years. You have led the strategy unit. You've been bringing leadership up. You've been focused on innovation. What next? Because you cannot go through the motion. You have to reinvent yourself. So how do you do that?
The beauty of this role is we're constantly looking at what's happening in the world around us and how do we make our businesses better. So we started with digital. Within a year or so, my sense is we won't be doing much more of digital with our businesses because they've integrated this already. We started data sciences a couple of years ago and a lot more focused on AI right now. We did some work on blockchain. So the beauty of this role is the ability for new technologies to continue to have you innovate and continue to have you develop yourself and thereby transform our businesses. So this is one of the best roles I've been in and the most amount of fun.
Mahindra invests in centers of excellence and R&D centers so that you can be ahead of the curve when it comes to technology. What do you see in terms of prospects around the world that should be the next big thing?
Quantum computing is something that drives a lot of these technologies. There are a number of other emerging technologies if you look at the Gartner hype cycle. But for us, AI will continue to be huge for a long time. I think we are still scratching the surface in that. And it's a combination in some ways of AI and robotics. And if you also bring into it AR and VR. In some cases, it's not one technology by itself, but the interplay between them. And how do you leverage that to create a much better customer experience? So that's going to be the challenge, at least over the next 2 or 3 years.
All companies that are above a certain level of income in India have to have corporate social responsibility projects. What are the CSR projects for Mahindra?
So for Mahindra, a lot of these projects started and we spent much more than the required norms, even before the norms came in place. One of the flagship projects we have is called Nani Kali, which is the girl child, and it's education for the girl child. And This is something that was put in place many years ago, and I think the team has done a wonderful job. It has transcended Mahindra in many ways because a number of other companies contribute to it as well. And that's our goal. The goal is not to have Mahindra front and center. The goal is to solve a problem. And that's what Nanikali has done well. There are a number of other initiatives across other businesses that are focused on education, on health, and creating jobs, on a cleaner society. And those are very focused ones. But Nanikali is the biggest one that stands out.
In terms of impact, how successful has it been in terms of impact in India? How many girls child were able to access education, for example?
Well over 1 million. And I can get the exact numbers, but the numbers are huge. And there's a large number of schools that are covered as part of it as well. So that part is important for us as we look at it.
It's always important when we talk to any Indian companies to have a better sense of the role they want to play in bringing the economy forward. And obviously, you've been leading the charge as one of the top groups in India. And we're looking forward to having more of you guys, Mahindra, in Canada. And I hope we'll be able to do more collaboration. So thank you so much for taking the time for the discussion today.
Most welcome. And we look forward to building a much stronger tie with Canada.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the first season of the Canada in India show. We love to hear from you, so please connect with us at Canada in India on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Tell us what you want more of and what you want less of. We're listening. We have already started working on season 2 that should come out in the fall of 2019. In the meantime, keep following at Canada in India for more updates. Take care.
We are thrilled that you shared this time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on our social media channels. On Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, we are at Canada in India. You can listen to all our episodes wherever you get your podcasts, so please do subscribe. Thank you. Merci. Dhanyavad.